When working with metallic substrates and also metallic inks, one of the most important things that is often overlooked by people is that those substrates and inks have a colour value of their own. Now, silver ink has an approximate colour value of about 30% black. So if we were to go into our colour picker, and let's go to the ColorLogic library. So let me see, it should be right down at the bottom, I believe. Okay, so that is the colour of silver. That's silver ink. So let's just go back, do that one again. Click on that one, go to our colour picker. Okay, so that is it. So we have it, we say it's an approximate colour value of about 30% black that makes up the silver ink. Now, silver substrate quite often is more about that sort of colour. So sometimes when you're working with images, depending on how you're printing, you might need to remove some of the colour from the image. And that's what this video is going to demonstrate today, is what happens if you don't make any adjustment to your file and explain why we do things in a certain way. So first of all, the golden rule that we have with ColorLogic is we do not ever change your CMYK or RGB image. We are creating a separation based on the pixels in that image, and it's then down to you to decide if you want to then remove some of the colour. So for example, if we didn't have this background in this greyish bluish colour, it was just maybe a green background, then you wouldn't want to remove any colour from that green because you want to just make it metallic. But when you have a greyish appearance, we can remove some of that greyness to be then compensated by the greyness of either the ink or the substrate. So let me demonstrate that now. First of all, I've made a mask around the background, which is what I'm going to work with today. I'm not going to bother about all this dress work. Yes, we could have that in metallic. That's not what this video is for. Okay, first of all, you create a separation of your image. Now, the way this works is the ColorLogic plugin is going to go through and isolate the different pixels in the image based on their hue value. What that means is that dark areas are not going to be made metallic. As you can see here, there's no metallic going into this outside shadow area here. Okay, and that's because shadows absorb light. They do not reflect light. So this would never look metallic. So the plugin is only going to put metallic into the areas that is beneficial. Now, I'm going to make a selection of my background. I'm going to invert my selection. So I'm now selecting all of this foreground area, and I'm going to delete it to white. So I'm just getting rid of everything that I don't want to be metallic. Now, what we always recommend is open up your levels, set your shadow and highlight points to basically put more metallic in. Remember, the darker the metallic, the darker the area, the more metallic it is. The lighter the area, the less metallic it is. So the separation plugin is only going to be able to give you a separation based on the hue values of the pixels, but we can overcompensate for this by manually making some adjustments, and that's what I'm going to do here. I'm actually just going to go in there and just push this slider up a lot more just to give it a lot more metallic into that background. I'm going to click on OK. So we've now created our metallic channel. Now let's go back onto our CMYK and let's just see what will happen if we now switch on that silver separation. So keep an eye on this background and watch what happens. So CMYK and now CMYK with the metallic substrate. So it's nice, it gives it this kind of contrasty look where it makes the foreground elements stand out. And that's a great thing when you're working with brands. You know, you wanted the branded product to stand off the page, and having the metallic in the background is what we always recommend. That is why I didn't make this image metallic in the foreground, even though this looks like gold fabric and gold in the crown. It's often better to put the metallic in the background and leave the natural look of these gold reflections. You know, you've got shadow and highlights to create that gold appearance, just out of CMYK. But notice how we have this colour is changing lighter to darker because that's the substrate that you're printing onto. So to get around that, what we're going to do is we're going to make a selection of this ColorLogic channel. So move your cursor over the channel, so watch down here, and hold the Command key. And when you press the Command key, it turns into a bounding box selection. That means it's going to pick up any pixels in that image when I press that separation. So all you have to do is hold the Command key and press that channel. Okay, so as you can see, it's made a selection of all the pixels in that image. I'm just going to hide my pixels so that I can work a bit clean on the screen, but they are still active. I'm just hiding them off the screen. With my CMYK selected, go to the Image menu, Adjustment, Brightness and Contrast. Now the brightness and contrast scale doesn't go from 0 to 100, it actually goes from 0 to 150. So if your substrate or ink is an appearance of about 30% black, we need 30% increase in that brightness. So 30% of 150 is 45. And click on OK. So now what's happening is if we remove the color logic separation, you can see the image in the background has become lighter. That is going to be compensated by that silver substrate that you print onto, or the silver ink. And that way you're going to get more metallic brilliance, cleaner metallics coming through. It's more true to the original image. Now the reason we don't do this automatically in the separation, as I mentioned earlier, is that if the background or any of the colour in there was anything other than a greyish appearance, then it would change the whole of your image, and we don't want to do that. So using this technique, you can compensate your image. What you could also do is you can go into fade, brightness and contrast once you've done your thing, provided you haven't changed or deselected or done any other changes to your image. And you can then use your slider just to tease it back a little bit if you think it's gone too far. So that's how it was too dark. And once you get it to the way you want, click on OK, save your file, and there we go. Color compensation in the background to be replaced by the substrate's hue and appearance.